It's part of my job to talk with many technologies in retail and from different levels of development. I talk to startups or even more complex solutions, and I always notice one problem. And I always notice something that we're gonna talk about today. Sometimes they don't talk about the problem they're solving. They're so amazed by their solution that they forget that the key value of the solution is the problem they're solving. That's why in this episode, we are talking about how to fall in love with the problem. And my guest today is the perfect person for it. Here's Paula Macadi, and this is episode 16 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. If you follow OFFBounds or myself on social channels, you've seen probably that I was in Brazil this last 2 weeks. I was there for VTEX Day and Web Summit Rio, which they were amazing events, and I'm gonna tell you everything that I've learned about it in another episode. But what's interesting is that when I was in São Paulo, which is a city I called home for 8 years, Uri Levine, who is the founder of Waze, was also there. And I couldn't waste the possibility of interviewing him. So that's why he's in the show today. And one thing that I love about Uri is that he founded Waze, which is the largest navigation app that we have nowadays and serves more than 700 million people worldwide. He also sold it to Google for 1.1 billion in 2013. What I love about Uri is that he's a successful serial entrepreneur and he has worked in many successful ventures. And that's because of one thing. He falls in love with the problem. And that's why he wrote the book, which is considered the Bible of entrepreneurship, that is, fall in love with the problem, not the solution. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. But before we dive into the interview, I'd like to please ask you to subscribe to the show so you don't miss any episode, either on YouTube or any podcast provider, because I will keep working super hard to bring you the best content. And let's go to the interview. Welcome to the show, Uri.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So you founded Waze. When was it?
We founded Waze in 2007.
And you had a brilliant exit selling this to Google, and then you built a few other startups and sold it as well. And now you wrote the book that we have here, Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution. Why did you decide to write this book?
So I have a very strong entrepreneurial personality, right? That's obvious, right? I'm building companies, I keep on building companies, and I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I'm also a teacher. So I feel equally rewarded if I build stuff myself or I guide someone to build it. And writing the book is fulfilling my destiny as a teacher, or sharing my know-how and my experience of building successful startups. Steve Wozniak called that book the Bible for entrepreneurs.
It is, but I assume, like, for me, it's so clear today the value of Waze, right? Like, you saw the problem of traffic jams.
I hate traffic jams, right? This is usually where it's found.
And thanks for coming to São Paulo anyways. So I see the value that, like, it's so clear to see the problem, but sometimes it's not that clear to see the problem. How was it? Like, you saw the problem and, like, you said, like, I'm gonna fix it. Did you know how? What is the process?
So, look, usually you would go for a long while with a problem stuck in your head, and you would like to address that, but you have no clue how, right? And with Waze, that was a eureka moment, that what I realized is that I need someone to be ahead of me on the road to tell me what's going on, right? And that was the eureka moment somewhere in 2006. And it was only a year later that I met the other two co-founders, that we shared the same vision, and we decided that we're gonna build it. Occasionally, and in many cases, you look at the problem and you don't have a solutions until you ran into some situations. And occasionally I would be thinking of those problems for years until it's ready to start, right?
Yeah, but fine, you have the problem. What's the next step?
Look, for a second, I would say why you need to fall in love with the problem. This is really simple, right? Entrepreneurship journey is about value creation. You want to make an impact. You want to be successful. And the simplest way to be successful is to create value. That's it. The simplest way to create value is solve a problem. And when you think of the problem, then you use the problem as the North Star of your journey. And when you have a North Star, you're going to make less deviation from your course and you're more likely to be successful. But I think that the most important part is that your story is going to be way more compelling. If we will be here in 2007 and we will have this dialogue, I will tell you, oh, I'm going to build an AI crowdsource-based navigation system. And you're going to say, oh yeah, very interesting, but you don't care. If I will tell you I'm going to help you to avoid traffic jams, then you do care. And when your customer care, they want you to be successful. And when they want you to be successful, guess what? They're going to help you to become successful. So always start with a problem. Think of a problem, a big problem, something that it's worth solving. And then the next thing that you would like to do is ask yourself, so who has this problem? If you happen to be the only person on the planet with this problem, go to a therapist, way cheaper than building a startup, right? But if a lot of people actually have this problem, this is your next step. You go and speak with 100 people that you believe that they have this problem, and you understand their perception of the problem. And if you follow this path and your solution works, it's guaranteed that you're creating value. If you start with the solution, you might be building something that no one cares, and that's going to be really frustrating. The reality is that 50% of the startup that fail, they're not trying to address a problem. They're trying to address the wrong problem, or they're not addressing a problem at all, and they simply do not create value.
Then that's something that I see a lot. So
of course you do.
It's part of my job to judge a few technologies to help them succeed in the retail market. And sometimes when they're pitching their idea to me, I'm like, you're not solving any problem. Like it seems like they created the problem and that they created the solution for a problem that exists only in their head. Why does it happen?
I don't know. I get tens of emails a week, right, from entrepreneurs, and 95% of them will start with, this is what we do. I don't care what you do. What I do care is why you're doing that, right? So where is the value that you create to your users, right? And who are your users? And when you answer that, then you are going to be way more successful, because then it's obvious that you are going to create value. If you start with what you are doing, if I will tell you that, there is no technology behind Waze, it's just an army of people that are calculating the route manually, you will be surprised, by the way, it's not the case. Obviously, there is a technology, but you don't care. You don't care how it works. What you care is what it does for you, and not how it does it. And as long as we keep on focusing on what it does and not why it does that or what is the value that it creates, then we are going to build the wrong product.
And will be the next step, like, okay, we have this problem, how we're going to solve it, and then you start developing the product?
For a second, I would say validating the problem before you even write a single line of code. And then go and figure out, okay, what is the simplest way that I can do to create value, right? So it's not about having the product works. Occasionally, it's not even technology, right? So sometimes you will say, okay, wait a minute, I think that there is inefficiency in something and I would like to build a marketplace. Okay, interesting. Please build the marketplace over WhatsApp, right? You don't need to build any technology for that. And see if it creates value. If it does, then go and build a product.
And that's valuable for any type of entrepreneurship, I would say.
Most of them, yeah.
Because
definitely.
You created a product for the consumer, so you're solving the consumer problem all the time. I deal with the companies that they're trying to solve the problem for a company, and I think they struggle sometimes in finding, like, in what part of the journey of their customer, their client, their products is a market fit.
So look, product market fit is the journey of entrepreneurship, and this is really the difference between a corporate and startup, right? So corporate knows their product and they know the price level of it and how it's being priced, and they know how they are going to market it, and so they know everything and all they have to do is execute. And startup doesn't know anything, right? So they don't know what's the product, what exactly the product, they don't know how it's going to be priced, they don't have a business model, they don't know how they are going to grow, and so they need to go through multiple phases of journeys into becoming successful one, right? And the first one is always going to be product market fit. Product market fit is really simple. This means that you create value to your customers. If you do not figure out product market fit, you will die. As simple as that. Just for a second, think of all the applications that you're using every day, right? From searching Google to using Waze, WhatsApp, Netflix, Uber, whatever it is, and ask yourself, what is the difference between any of those today and the first time that you have used that? And the answer is that there is no difference. We are searching Google today the same way that we search Google for the first time in our life.
The core is there. They might have...
The value is there, right? The value, once you figure out the value that you create, you don't want to change that. What we don't know is how long did it take them to get there. For Waze, it was 4 years. We started in 2007, but there was no one that was actually using Waze in Brazil before 2011. And with...
You started in Israel.
In Israel, yes.
And then
once we realized that this, because it's crowdsourced, it can go global, we went global. And then it turns out that this is going to be a journey of failures, of iterations and iterations and iterations and iterations until it become good enough. But the most important thing about product market fit is that there is only one metric for product market fit: retention. That's really simple. Look, if you create value, they will come back. If they're not coming back, that means that you're not creating value. Now, if you'll tell me, okay, this is consumer, B2B is business, no, it's not business. It's not different. If you don't create value, then they're not going to renew the agreement, the contract. And to a certain extent, I will tell people, oh, everyone likes to have 3 years contract. No, what you really want at the beginning of the journey is 1 month contract. You want them to renew that, and you want to learn.
You want them to see the value and see that they need you.
Exactly. And if they don't renew, then this is how you are going to improve. The way that you're going to improve is that you ask them why, and they will tell you. And then you build the next version based on the fact that they have churned, and you fix that, right? And then you have another one and another one and another one. This is how you're going to become, with a product market fit, way better and way faster than anyone else.
Based on the product market fit, the thing that the investors are looking at.
Many don't even know that this is what they should be looking at. But this is the most important thing, right? If you create value, then the rest will follow, right? You are going to be successful. You are going to be able to generate business, successful business. You will be able to figure out the growth, right? Because by and large, if you have the right product, then you will end up with, in many cases, with word of mouth, right? People will tell other people, this is valuable product for me. And so everything follows the value that you create. If you don't, then you'll die.
But that sets, I think, the core of the business, right? The business is going to be working on this value and solving this problem that you fell in love with. I love the term falling in love, because you're going to be obsessed with the problem.
You have to be obsessed. Look, you have to be there, because this is going to be very long and very challenging journey. And you have to be in love in order to go into this journey, because otherwise you'll give up.
Yeah, but I feel once you are in the entrepreneurship and in the journey of solving a problem, there's so many other things that you have to do, like recruitment, finding the right team, finding investments, and etc. What are these steps? I know that you have a few in your book, but what do you think are the most important steps?
So number one, you have to understand the journey, right? And the journey is a long roller coaster journey of failures, right? There are ups and downs, and way more than any other business. So we're trying to build something new that no one did before, and obviously we think that we know what we're doing, but we don't. So we try one thing and it doesn't work. We try another thing.
There's no metric. Nobody did that before. So
exactly. And so once you realize that this is going to be a journey of failures, what you really want is to fail fast. Because the faster that you fail, you still have plenty of time and plenty of resources to make another attempt and another attempt and another attempt until you figure it out. And the more attempts that you have, you increase the likelihood of being successful. So once you realize that this is the journey, there are some places that you will need to become pretty significant, right? As you said, you need to recruit people. How you are going to recruit people before you have money? Well,
isn't it the egg and the chicken?
No, it's not. It's not. It goes back into the mission and the leadership, right? That's it. If you telling the right story to people that will later become customers, then you are going to tell the same story to all the stakeholders, right? You're going to tell that to new candidates, that they will join you because of the vision of the mission that you have and because of your leadership, right? Now, leadership, I don't know what to do with it, but if you have it and you have the charm, then you will be able to bring them on. That's going to be the same when you're speaking with investors. At the end of the day, when I spoke with investors that invested in early stage and asked them why, they told me two things, always two things. I like the CEO, I like the story. That's it. Now, if you are unable to bring people on board to join you to this journey, then you will not be able to convince investors to join your journey either. So you have to learn how to tell a good story. And this is really critical, right? And story is not about fact. It's about creating emotional engagement. What you want is the listener to the story to make believe that they're part of the story. And if you can tell them that story, they will join you. If you're unable to tell them that story, then they will not join you.
That's how you did. You said, hey, I want to solve the traffic problem in the world.
This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I invited people to join us, and the people did.
How long does it take for an investor to know if they're going to invest in you?
You know, it's funny because I asked that after I sold Waze. I had dialogues with many of the venture capital firms in Israel, and I asked them, how long does it take you to decide if you like the entrepreneur or not? So the guy is looking at me and then looking at the door and looking at me again and says, before they sit down. Now you say, no, it doesn't make any sense. This is first impression. This is first impression. How long does it take you to decide if you like a candidate for the job or not? Second. You go on a date. How long does it take you to decide that you like the date or not? Second.
Maybe you need a few drinks and then you change your mind.
You might, but then you only have few more minutes to change your mind, right? And this is really important, right? Because if this is the case, then investors are going to make the decision really, really fast. Then, in addition to telling a good story, you want to start with the strongest point at the beginning. Because by the time you'll get there, it might be irrelevant anymore. Now, the strongest point, I don't know what it is. It might be that you have amazing team. It might be that you have traction. It might be that this is a problem worth solving. Whatever it is, start with that.
And what is more important, hiring or firing?
There is a chapter in my book that is called Firing and Hiring. And when I sent the book proposal to some of the publisher, they told me, it should be hiring and firing. And I said, no. Firing is hard decision. Hiring is easy decision. First of all, you have to learn how to make the hard decision. Now, this is coming from my dialogues with entrepreneurs that they're a startup failure, and asked them why, what happened. And about half told me the team was not right. And I kept on asking, okay, what do you mean the team was not right? And what I heard the most is, we had this guy not good enough and this guy. So not good enough was the main reason. Another reason that I heard often is that we had communication issues, right? Something that I actually called ego management issues. And then I asked them the most interesting question: when did you know that the team is not right? The answer was actually scary. All of them told me within the first month. And said, wait a minute, if you knew within the first month that the team is not right and you didn't do anything, the problem was not that the team was not right. The problem was that the CEO did not make hard decisions. Making easy decisions is easy. Making hard decisions is hard. I will tell you, every time that you hire someone new, then mark your calendars for 30 days down the road and ask yourself one question. Knowing what I know today, would I hire this person? Now, if the answer is yes, then go to this person and tell them that you are really excited that they've joined and they're exceeding your expectation. And if this is a startup, then give them more equity. But if the answer is no, fire them immediately.
They might not be a good fit to your company at the moment, but they could be an excellent fit in another company, and you're stopping them from going.
So you're doing yourself a favor, you're doing the organization a favor, and you're doing that person a favor.
Interesting. I maybe have some decisions.
It's a hard decision. There is a very interesting research that tried to look at behaviors of successful CEO. And the number one behavior of successful CEOs is making decision with conviction. You make a decision, this is it, move forward. And you don't wait. Now, in startup CEO, I will say the number one behavior is never give up, right? Never give up. No matter what happens, keep on fighting uphill, never give up.
But I don't know, I keep thinking on how hard it is for, everybody struggles to find the right talent, right? So I guess some of them might stay with an okay talent that might not be the best fit, but just because it's hard to find a better fit, maybe.
Okay talent, it doesn't cut it, right? If you need someone that is great, then you need someone that is great.
And right? You have to go and find it.
The way that you're going to find out is by hiring and firing if it doesn't fit, right? And fire fast, because otherwise you're going to get stuck.
When I think about Waze, so you started in Israel, and then you went, you're literally all around, Waze is now literally all around the globe. How is the international process, especially, I think, understanding a new culture, understanding new traffic jams, and how is it?
So the good news is that the problem is the same everywhere, right? So traffic jams are traffic jams, and people hate them everywhere. Right?
Where is the worst traffic jam you ever got?
So, people would like to think that maybe here in São Paulo is the worst. It's really bad here. Right?
I still have nightmares.
But there are places that it's even worse, right? So, end of the day, at the same level of traffic jams of São Paulo, where you might have other major cities in Latin America, right? From Mexico to Bogota or Lima. Now, if you'll ask me if traffic jams in Tel Aviv are worse than here, I hate them more because I face them every day, right? But Tel Aviv is a small place. And so the result is that I barely drive in Tel Aviv. I would be riding my bicycle whenever I can, and I would be occasionally using public transportation, and I would try not to drive because I hate traffic jams.
Well, that's a good problem to solve. You fell in love with the hate of traffic jam.
Yep. Look, in order for you to really fall in love, you need to have a very strong emotion towards something, right? And strong emotion could be that you really like something or you really hate something, right? I don't care which one is going to drive you to decide that this is what you're going to do. But you need to have that strong emotional engagement with the problem in order to go into this journey. Many of my startups, each one of them is trying to address a problem, right? One that is on a path of being successful called Pontera, and it helps people to retire richer, because this is one of the areas that we don't think about our retirement saving when we can still make an impact, and by the time we start to think about it, it's already too late to make an impact.
And your base is still in Israel?
I'm still based in Israel, yes.
Yeah, and you keep solving problems all over the world, so
it's someone told me that the book is probably going to be the best return on investment for anyone. And it's going to make a bigger impact than any of my other companies for a simple reason, right? It's going to make more entrepreneurs more successful, and the impact that they will create is bigger.
But you mentioned something about, I saw that in another interview, that it said Israel is okay with failure, the United States is okay with failure. That's why I'm going to the global aspect of it. What makes us okay with failure? What is do we have to have this risky nature, or we learn?
So we learn, and by and large, we learn at home. And you learn at home, you learn when you grow up, you learn at the environment that you learn to fail. And this is maybe the most important thing that parents can teach their children. Teach them to fail. Because when they fail, they are willing, you fail, and then you get up, and you get up stronger. That is going to cause people to get out of their comfort zone. And when you start to get out of your comfort zone, you discover new things that maybe are the ones that are going to make you happier. Now, what does it mean to teach them to fail? It's not just to tell them it's okay to fail. It's when they fail, is actually not judge them, right? Just think of, someone at elementary school coming back home with after exam with an F, right? And usually what we're doing is that we comprehend them, we punish them, we do everything that is totally wrong in order to teach them that it's okay to fail. When I grew up, I would come to my dad with a crazy idea, right? And he would say, why don't you give it a try? Now, he knew that it's not going to work, but I didn't. So I tried and it didn't work. There was no judgment after that. There was only a question, okay, so what have we learned? If you grow your children that way, you increase their likelihood of being happy.
Funny, I'll tell you a little bit of my parents educating me. I think I'm a risk taker. I think I just, the comfort zone for me, it's an unbearable place to be. And I remember I finished college and I decided that I was gonna move to New York by myself. I remember the week I was gonna move, I was like, Mom, what am I gonna do? I don't know. She's like, what is the worst that can happen? Come back, that's it. Think about the worst, what is the worst that can happen if this happens? And
the worst is that you're still at the same place that you're here right now.
That you are right now, exactly, that you try.
If you don't try, then you don't know. But
that can be very cultural, right?
It's cultural, right? So, in general, if we look at Latin America, then the fear of failure here is way higher. By the way, part of your role, in my mind, is teach the world that entrepreneurs are heroes because they're trying to change the world, right? And so, at the end of the day, you lower the fear of failure, there will be more entrepreneurs, right? More entrepreneurs, more of them are going to be successful, as simple as that.
Yeah, so what is your advice to someone, for example, that is leaving college now and they want to change the world?
Then go and change the world. Don't be afraid to fail. Simply start.
Don't be afraid of judgment. The worst that can happen is be where you are right now.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Uri.
This is absolutely amazing. I really like this interview.
I hope you enjoyed this interview. Uri is a very special guy and very inspiring. His book is definitely the Bible for anybody that is building a business, and I'm sure everybody can benefit from it. Let's not forget to fall in love with the problem. Today, the day we are publishing this episode, I'll be in London judging a few startups at the French embassy, and I'll make sure that they're focusing on the problem and not the solution. I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I hope you fall in love with the problem. See you next week.